Hey there, it's Max G.
And James Renault from IamProductOfTheDay.com. We are thrilled to have you with us for this product review.
Yeah, before diving into the review itself, let's talk about the exciting bonuses awaiting for you if you decide to grab this product through the link provided below in the description.
First up, it's bonus number one, our award-winning product, Done For You Social. This program is a done-for-you social media business in a box. While we know that many of you don't like social media, we also know how important it is to get traffic from social media to make money online. And we have done 99% of the work for you so that you can run a successful social media business from home.
Next up, you will also get Quantum AI, yet another of our award-winning programs. This one is really special as it shows you how anyone out there can now create custom AI tools in seconds without any skills and turn this into huge profits.
Bonus number three, which is our award-winning product, Anonymous AI. This program gives you the ability to make money online while being completely anonymous. You never have to show your face or say a single word to profit daily.
Last but not least, if you decide to grab this product using the link down below, you will also get high-ticket AI, which gives you the easiest and most powerful way to get commissions of thousands of dollars using the power of artificial intelligence.
These four programs continue to be daily hot sellers, offering everything you need to establish multiple online income streams and achieve financial independence. While we're still selling them daily, by grabbing this product through the link in the description below, you'll receive all four bonuses absolutely free with lifetime access.
Yeah, now to claim these bonuses, simply click the link down below now and find them conveniently delivered to you on checkout.
So now make sure to like this video because it helps us a ton with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to our channel for more Make Money Online content and visit IamProductOfTheDay.com, which also has the link below, for the hottest daily internet marketing product releases. Without further ado, let's get right into this review.
I'm going to show you how to develop a complete SEO plan for 2025, and I'll walk you through each part of an effective SEO campaign from beginning to end. And this is normally what you'd pay an SEO consultant or agency thousands of dollars to do for you. But today I'll be sharing it for free. So just follow my process and you can improve your SEO performance on your websites or your clients' websites. I'm Nathan Gotch, the founder of Rankability and Gotch SEO Academy and author of The SEO Entrepreneur. I've led hundreds of successful SEO campaigns over the last decade, and my work is featured on SEMrush, Ahrefs, and Search Engine Journal. So please like this video to show me you're excited, and let's get right into it.
All right, so the first step in this process is to download your existing keyword profile. So just go into a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, and then go to organic research. And in this case, I'm just gonna go to positions, and then I'm gonna go ahead and export all of the existing keywords. And really you wanna try to export everything. If you have a massive keyword profile, like this is only about 10,000 keywords here, I can export this pretty easily. But let's say you had 100,000 or more, you may want to start to mess around with the filters. But for now, just try to export everything. So then just copy and paste all of that keyword data into a Google Sheet like I've done here. And I'll explain how we're going to filter through all of these keywords and prioritize them. But the next thing I want to do is actually do one more keyword research process, which is doing a keyword gap analysis. So you can actually click on the competitors tab, and sometimes this is accurate for finding your true competitors, but sometimes, like in the case of my website, I'm ranking for a lot of YouTube related stuff as well. So, these are not really my direct competitors. So you may have to do some additional research, but once you know who your competitors are, go to the keyword gap. And we're gonna go ahead and enter the top competitors that we're up against. So in this case, I'm just entering these competitors because they have the biggest keyword profiles in the SEO industry. And I'm gonna go ahead and just click compare. And then once that's done, click on position, and then you're gonna go to competitors and do top 10. So now at this point, you're left with just the keywords where your competitors are ranking in the top 10. Now, we don't really wanna look at the ones where we're kind of competing. We wanna look at the ones where they actually have keywords that we aren't even competing with at all. And what this indicates is that we have a clear gap in our authority on these topics. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and export these, and then we're gonna add them to the sheet. Okay, so once you've downloaded the report, just go ahead and paste the data in here. Once again, there's going to be 3 columns that I've added, and I'll be talking about what those are, but just go ahead and paste that data in here. And now we're going to go back to the existing keywords, and we're going to filter through these first, and then we'll move on to the untapped. Okay, so when you're looking at this data, it might feel a little overwhelming, but I can promise you it isn't. We're going to use a few different techniques to filter through these keywords very quickly. So the first technique that we want to use is relevance. So how relevant is this keyword to the products or services that we're selling or that our clients are selling? Okay, so in the context of what we're looking at here, at least for this example, my business sells SEO training, content optimization software, and a book about how to start an agency. Okay, so those three things are the core ideas that I need to build support around. And so I have to make sure that whatever keywords we prioritize map to those objectives very, very well. Okay, so there's a few ways we can do this. Number one, we need to add a filter, okay? Because we're gonna be able to eliminate a lot of stuff very quickly. So the first thing I want to eliminate is on the position column, okay? So we're gonna look at this, and if we're already ranking number one, we don't really need to do anything else, okay? So let's just go ahead and eliminate anything that's number one, all right? So that helps us eliminate quite a few. Now, the next thing I want to do is we're gonna wanna start to investigate keywords that are very specific to the things that we're selling. So one thing we can do here is you can actually add conditional formatting. So one way to make this process faster to identify relevant keywords using conditional formatting is you can use a formula to make it a lot faster. So you can go ahead and just copy this, and I'll have it below the video. I'll probably have like a bonus doc, probably based on how many people like the video, I'll release it. But the point is like you can just copy this and use this inside of your Google Sheets. So this template's very simple. You just copy it and then you replace the keyword part with whatever kind of that seed keyword is that we're going to be able to identify our products or our services with. So, and you can see here, this is an example. So I have training in here and I have courses, and you can just go ahead and just copy this little section here and just keep adding commas and just keep adding additional keywords. So here's what that looks like. So you can see over here, I went back to the conditional formatting and I highlighted the column, and you can see I put the whole formula in here, okay? So now I can just go ahead and have these highlighted very easily. So within a few short minutes, I was able to identify a really solid amount of keywords that would be considered critical level as far as us targeting. So we're about 35 different keywords, most of them with different intent, meaning they're going to require their own dedicated page or they already have a dedicated page. And so that's kind of the key here is you don't want to just haphazardly be selecting keywords. You want to be pretty deliberate about it. And notice that a lot of these keywords are very different. So like SEO tools, SEO books, totally different topics, require their own dedicated page. SEO optimization, you know, you could argue could probably be in the SEO tools category, but still something worth marking. And then obviously SEO training is its own separate entity as well. So a lot of these have different intent, and that's really important because if it has different intent, we should have a dedicated page specifically for that keyword phrase. So just go through and identify those critical keywords. And then the next phase of this process, and once again, don't worry about filtering through them quite yet. What we're going to do next is we're going to start to identify more supporting keywords. So these aren't necessarily keywords that are going to drive revenue directly, but they're still going to be in this category of, you know, high, moderate, low, and anything that's in the none category we're probably not even going to focus on. So we're just going to identify some good solid keywords to build topic support around our commercial keywords. Okay, so once you have all your commercial keywords all squared away, the next thing we want to do is think about how we can build support around these commercial pages. So my favorite way to do this is actually to go over here and go to the URL column. So you can actually collapse all of this and just hide it. So we'll hide all of this up until position. And then we're going to go to the URL column and we're just going to go ahead and sort all of this by URL. All right, so as I go through this process, what I want to look for is what I call an intent mismatch. So for example, we're going to look at this URL here and we're going to see that this URL is about best SEO courses. Okay, so it's a list about the best SEO courses. And it's pretty broad, pretty general. But what I want to see is based on the position and the keyword. So for example, local SEO training. Well, clearly this page is not relevant enough to actually rank for this keyword. Hence why it's not ranking well at all. It's, you know, position number 72. So for me, I know for sure that for this one keyword phrase, I can actually build out a dedicated page specifically for local SEO training. So this aligns really well with, you know, the core thing that I sell. So it definitely would fall under that critical category, but I don't have an existing page for it. So we're gonna have to go and build a new page. And so what I do is I continue to look at these ideas that are directly related to this important URL and see, is there anything here that we can actually build out new content for to build more support for this main page. So once you've identified a nice solid amount of keywords, the next part of this process is to actually go through and use data to determine which keywords we should go after and in what order, okay? So I'm just gonna focus in on these critical keywords and show you how I'd go about actually selecting what keywords to go after, okay? So first thing I wanna do is, obviously position is a very important one, so actually hide this, and you can basically decide based on a few different types of criteria. You can go pretty far just by looking at position, search volume, keyword difficulty, and cost per click. There are some other metrics that you can certainly use, and I teach those inside of Gotcha SEO Academy, but I think, as far as doing, getting pretty far, these 4 will help you be able to prioritize pretty well. Okay, so the first one is certainly going to be position. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to see the keywords that are ranking well, because if we have a keyword that's, let's say, ranking in the number 2 spot, it's much easier to lift this from number 2 to number 1 than it is to lift a page that's, number 70 to number 1, right? Because we're just trying to go up one position. Now, keep in mind, every position that you go up in Google, it gets progressively more difficult. So going from, position 2 to number 1 can sometimes be not as simple as it might seem. You might need a significant amount of links, but the point is you're doing something right here. So what I like to do is I like to look at the page and see okay, what are some tweaks we can make? And I'll be talking more about kind of the strategy behind that. But the point is this bucket of keywords from 2 to 15 is where you should spend most of your time initially. Okay. And you can see we've got a bunch of keywords that are ranking here, in the top 100, but they're really not ranking well. Okay. So they're going to be at the bottom of the list for me. And it's basically going to go in this order. So let's just look only at keywords that are from position 2 to 15. So we'll do less than or equal to 15, okay? And what that's gonna do is now we've cut that keyword list down, and now we've been able to, ultimately get more focused here. Now the next one is looking at search volume. So once again, we're gonna go here and we're gonna look at the keywords that have decent search volume. Now, based on what we're seeing here, this keyword SEO books is probably going to be our best option already because, first of all, we're number 2, it has high search volume, and the keyword difficulty isn't super difficult. It's definitely not easy, but it's not insane where we're going to really need a significant amount of backlinks. And it actually does have some cost per click. Okay, so one thing we can do here is on the CPC front is just eliminate anything with a 0. And the reason is because if advertisers aren't willing to pay for that keyword, there's a good chance it's probably not that valuable, okay? That's not always the case. Sometimes it could be untapped, but for the most part, when we're trying to filter through keywords, you're probably better off sticking with keywords that actually have quantifiable advertising demand, okay? So what we're left with is already, just very quickly, we're left with about 11 keyword phrases, okay? So we got through those very, very fast. Now, what we wanna do is start to look at, some other metrics. So like keyword difficulty. Some of these are really, really competitive, to the point where it would be very difficult to actually rank. So, keyword difficulty of 81, that is way too high. So I'm going to go ahead and do less than or equal to, and I'm probably just going to, since, Gotcha SEO, this is a unique situation that it has significant authority, but we'll just do, less than 50. Okay. That's what we're trying to go for here. And now we're left with the keywords where we can actually probably compete pretty well. So, as you can tell, you can filter through very quickly. We're left about eight keyword phrases. So what I want to do now is see which of these are basically the same URL, and then see, what we can do to improve performance here. Now, based on what I'm seeing, we really just have a few primary keywords to go after. We've got SEO books, which is definitely a good one. So we'll go ahead and highlight that. And SEO content optimization tools also looks like a great one. So we'll actually go ahead and do that one as well. And the other one here is looking at which of these keywords is best for this URL. It looks like probably SEO agency software is a pretty solid pick, okay? And then finally, looking at this, it looks like starting an SEO agency is also really good, and St. Louis SEO agency. So based on this, it looks like we've got, about 5 keyword phrases and 5 unique pages that we can focus on right away. And we know that we're going to get a really good return on investment for, these particular pages. Okay. So that's how you go about it. You really want to start to just break that list down and get so granular. And remember, at the beginning of this, I had 10,000 keywords, and now I broke it down to basically 5.
and 5 unique pages. Okay. And keep in mind, this doesn't mean we're just only going to do these 5 keywords and 5 pages, but this is how we can start to prioritize what we're working with. So next thing we want to do is run what I call a ranking diagnosis. So essentially what this is a checklist that you can follow to determine what are those core variables that are holding this page back from being number 1 in Google, okay? Because if you're not number 1, there is something that is wrong. There's something that is off. So I'm gonna go through this checklist and then I'll show you kind of where this ended up. All right, so far we have 1 failing mark that we can go ahead and improve on. And now we're finally at the most important section here, which is on the backlink front. And this just is another good example of showing that you can literally do everything right, at least to, from a, let's call it a subjective and objective point of view using data, and still not quite be where you should be. And one thing to consider too is also like, have you given this page enough time to actually get to the position that you want to get to? So for example, this page is relatively fresh. It was published in September. So it's certainly not brand new, but it's still pretty fresh. And if you look at most pages that are ranking well on Google, you're going to find that most of them have been around for quite some time. I think the average page ranking on Google is like 3 years old. So if you've only given your page about, 2 or 3 months to get going, you're not really giving it enough breathing room to ultimately perform. So with that in mind though, we definitely want to start to narrow some gaps. So we've narrowed a lot of gaps here. We've done a decent job, but the main thing we have to study now is on the backlink authority level. Okay. So what I do is I just go ahead into SEMrush, search the primary keyword, and SEMrush has a new feature where you can actually have them see your like potential rank. And according to SEMrush, like they claim I can never get beyond position 10, which of course is not true, but this is why you got to be careful with these metrics. All right. So first thing I want to look at is the overall strength of backlinks going to the individual URLs. So you can see here, there's domain and URL. Let's start with just the URL. So what I'm looking at here is in the top 10, I want to see kind of like, what's the average, what's the ballpark of referring domains going to the ranking URLs. And based on what we can see, it's quite a wide range. So we definitely need to use a median referring domains, because we've got, one site here that's got 5,400, and then we've got another site that has 0, and then another one has 10. So it's a wide range, but we can assume it's going to be pretty significant, right? So let's say, maybe 50 referring domains, give or take, maybe even as high as 100 if we were to get the median, okay? So between 50 and 100, more than likely, based on my very quick, probably wrong math there. But the point is like ballpark area. Okay, so then we're going to look at us and see where we're at, and we're only at 15. Okay, so more than likely, we're going to need to acquire more backlinks to this specific URL if we really want any chance to actually perform here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that as a fail, and we're going to look at the one here, which is, does the page have enough high quality backlinks to rank? So this is purely based on volume, not based on looking at the individual backlinks and seeing the quality of them, and which is a totally separate process altogether. But for now, we're just looking at purely based on volume. Okay, and what we want to do next is look at the overall domain strength. All right, so we're going to go back here and we're going to look at the domain level and see roughly what we're looking at. Okay, so once again, getting a ballpark idea and seeing like, are there any other competitors in here that are within our range? Okay, so we have this site here that's actually ranking number 2. They're doing really well, and they have a domain authority score of 22. So they're not really strong at all. And in fact, if we look at our site, we're actually at a 37. So we're actually winning at least against one competitor in here, and that's a really good sign. Okay, but that's just one, and that's why we can't just look at one competitor. We need to look at everyone. And on average, or even if you were to use median in this case, we are losing. Okay, so our site is simply not strong enough to rank for this. Okay, so if we are able to rank for it, it's actually going to be an anomaly more than anything, because our site is just simply not strong enough. So already I have enough information to ultimately determine that we're just going to need more backlinks. Okay, and I actually marked this as pass, which was not correct. These are all fails. Okay, so it's very clear here that we're going to need to go and acquire more referring domains. That's really, really important. And I'll be talking later on, maybe in this video, and I also have a dedicated video about this as far as link building. But one of the things I would definitely be investigating to narrow this backlink gap is looking into a service for digital PR. And this is a new service from Search Intelligence. And before, I think their minimum retainer was much higher. So we'll go to Search Intelligence and we'll search for them. And I believe it was a lot more. It was like $5K per campaign. So this is actually a new service they just launched that's much more applicable for small business owners or even white labeling for agencies. Okay, so definitely much more affordable, but still that same really high caliber of work that they do. And these are the types of links that you really want to get, because if you look at it, like they're going to give you 5 links over the course of 3 months, but you're going to get at least 2 DR70 links. Now, just to put this in perspective, a DR70 link is really, really strong, because to get a DR70 takes a significant amount of backlinks to build that level of authority. So it's much better to get 1 DR70 backlink or 1 backlink from a DR70 website than it is to get like 100 DR20s. Okay, like mathematically it's actually better just to get 1. So this is why I wouldn't view this as like, oh no, it's only 5 links, because you're getting like insanely powerful links, as you can tell based on their portfolio results. So definitely recommend checking them out if you're trying to narrow any backlink gaps that you have. And I'll also be showing a couple techniques you can use here very soon in this video as well. But if you're interested, just go to digital.pr to learn more about their services. All right, so this ranking diagnosis process I just walked you through is really designed for an existing page, a page that's already doing decently, and you're trying to figure out what are those variables that are holding it back. It should really be a page that has some age associated with it. So even like this one here that's only a few months old, I probably wouldn't have done this in most cases. It's usually best designed for a page that's, let's say, 4 to 6 months old and is still not in that #1 spot. Okay, that's really what it's designed for. And if you're, obviously you could build this yourself, or you could just actually make the investment and get my full SOP and template. I'll have a link below the video where you can get access to this entire thing. This is the second version of this ranking diagnosis checklist, and it keeps getting better every version, but this is the current version, so you can get access to it below. But for now, what I want to do for the rest of this process is I want to show you how to actually build an SEO piece of content from scratch. Okay, so this one here is already done. We're trying to figure out like what are those variables that are holding it back. But now I want to show you, like, we're going to pick a keyword, obviously from our database here that we initially found, and we're going to actually build that from scratch. So I'm going to show you that exact process from A to Z so you can see what that looks like. So for this demonstration, I'm going to be targeting the keyword why dentists should invest in SEO, and I'm going to build an SEO content asset from scratch. So let's dive right in. So step 1 is run the keyword through Rankability's content optimizer. So for the first draft, just copy the NLP keywords from Rankability and use this prompt in ChatGPT to create an SEO content outline. Then copy the word count from Rankability and have it produce the first draft. It'll produce something average at best, and when you run it through originality.ai, it'll likely come back as 100% AI. I don't recommend publishing this on your website. So instead, I'm going to show you a few different iterations of this. First, write a custom intro for the asset. And your intro is one of the most important parts of your entire SEO content asset, and it's time well spent making it as good as possible. So just by changing the intro, the content is already not registering as 100% AI. But now let's go to the next level and rewrite a few sections. At this point, it's hard for the tool to detect AI, and you could theoretically stop here, but I don't recommend that, and I recommend focusing on getting maximum quality for your SEO content. So now I'll rewrite the entire asset, and to no surprise, it registers as 100% original because I actually wrote it. So as you write, think about ways to naturally integrate the NLP suggestions from Rankability. And sometimes it takes rewording a phrase, or other times you'll need new sentences or paragraphs to cover the topic. All that matters is that you cover the topic, and don't worry about how many times you mention a specific keyword. Then once you've hit the optimal Rankability score, I recommend running the draft through Hemingway Editor to improve the readability. And after that, it's time to upload and format the content in your CMS. And this is actually where the magic happens, because there's art and science to creating engaging content. A few techniques you'll notice that I use are short paragraphs, headings, bullet points, numbered lists, custom graphics, videos, and pattern interrupts with statistics or quotes. Use every weapon you have to keep the user engaged. So here's what the finished product looks like. And just to show you the power of human written content developed with NLP, here is where the page is already ranking within 7 hours of publishing. All right, so the next thing you want to do is run a screaming frog crawl. So you have to integrate some APIs. I recommend doing the Google Analytics API, the Google Search Console API, the PageSpeed Insights API, Ahrefs API, and if you want to learn how to do this as well, would be one of the large language models. So in this case, OpenAI, and I'll show you what this kind of looks like. So in the prompt configuration, I went ahead and added a few prompts in here, and basically what this will do, it links up with ChatGPT or OpenAI, and it will work with you as it runs the crawl. So I'm going to be looking at the intent of the page. I'm going to be looking at the sentiment of each page, and I'm also going to be running some EEAT standards for this page. So I'll have this prompt here below the video, but this just like elevates your crawl to the next level. Okay, so if you can do this, I would highly recommend. You will have to pay extra with OpenAI, but it's like really, really minimal for credits. Now, keep in mind, if you're crawling an enormous website, it's going to cost you probably a lot of money. So just be careful on that front. But if it's a smaller website, there's really no reason that you shouldn't be using this data to your advantage. All right, so once the crawl is complete, just go ahead and paste it into a Google Sheet. And there's so much to digest here, and we're obviously not going to be able to cover it all. And I have a dedicated portion to this whole entire process inside of Gotcha SEO Academy, but I'm going to give you some of the like really heavy hitting points here that we can attack. And there's a couple things I want to look at. Number one is the 404s. Okay, these are really, really important because I want to see if any of these 404s have existing data associated with them. So we're going to go over here and I want to see a few things. Number one, do any of these 404s actually have internal links going to them? Okay, so right away we see that these 404 pages actually have 35 internal links going to them. So we would want to go and find where those are, and we would want to update those links, because ultimately that just means that we have broken links on our site. Okay, now we're going to go over here, and we also want to see, is there any data associated with these particular URLs? And there is. I got a few 404s that actually do have traffic and do have some events associated with them. So definitely want to 301 redirect the ones that have data. Okay. And then finally, want to see, do any of these URLs have backlinks? Come to find out, there actually is a significant. There's about 54 referring domains going to these 404 pages. Okay, so what that tells me is we need to find a home for these URLs. We need to 301 redirect these somewhere to a page on our site, basically all of them, because there's data associated with all of them. So start here. This is just classic, really the focus is 404 link reclamation, but I actually prefer just to look at it as like, do these URLs have anything that's worth salvaging? And if so, we need to run some 301 redirects. So the next column I would take a look at is the word count column. So we can actually sort this from A to Z, and we want to see, are there any URLs here that are, have very, very little content on them, potentially causing a thin content situation. And in most cases, as long as you don't have significant scale of this going on the site, then you're probably going to be fine. And I don't have a lot of pages on my site, so there's not really going to be anything that's super damaging here. And plus, even a page that technically has a low word count is not necessarily a bad page per se, because like we have this page here that's for Chris Dreyer, and you can see like this is based on, he's a member of being, in the academy. So this is his testimonial, and yeah, it's very thin, but it actually serves a purpose. It's a bottom of the funnel objective. So we wouldn't get rid of this page. There'd be no reason to do that. Okay, so there is certain utility in having, pages that are not just SEO driven all the time. All right, so don't just see low word count and assume that it's bad. Okay, next thing is looking at crawl depth. All right, so we'll do Z to A, and basically what I want to see is like if there's any pages that are more than 3 clicks deep, then we need to do something about them. And come to find out, we've got quite a few. We've got a lot of pages that are way too deep into the architecture. So what this tells me is we're gonna have to go and push these further up into the architecture, because this will get Google to crawl and index these pages at a higher rate and more efficiently. Okay. Next one is unique in links. This is the quantity of internal links that are going to any given URL. So if we look at this, we just, once again, we'll go A to Z. And for me, if there's less than 5, I'm probably going to mark it. Okay. So if there's less than 5 internal links, I'm going to go ahead and mark it as red, because what this implies is that these pages don't have a lot of internal link coverage, which is also sometimes a symptom of having a weak topic authority situation. Okay. So maybe these URLs just don't have a lot of topic support. So we need to build more support around them. Okay. Keep going down the list. There's obviously many other things we can look at, but I'm going to skip through a few of these. The next one I want to do is look at the data. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're actually just going to sort this, and we're just going to look at blanks, and we're going to see pages that do not have any traffic and pages that do not have any impressions. Okay. And these are like prime time pages that we need to consider thinking about if we should do anything with them. Okay. And, in my situation, I don't really have a whole bunch, but in other situations, you're going to find there to be a lot more. Okay. So keep in mind that just because a page has poor signals, it doesn't mean that it necessarily needs to be deleted per se, but it just means maybe it needs to be re-optimized. So a page like this in particular, I would probably highlight this whole row, because, we have this SEO Jobs Seattle page, and we need to figure out why this page is not performing well. Now, based on what I can see right away, it's probably just really outdated. Okay, really outdated page, needs to get a little facelift, a little upgrade, and this should certainly help it get a lift. Okay, so this is what we want to do. We want to look at these pages and see why are they not performing well, and then see if it's even worth attacking in the first place.